it's a massive point of differentiation, man, because there's so much noise out there right now. Everyone's got a book to sell. Everyone's got a green juice. Everyone's got a franchise. If we don't show up differently, we don't show up, period. Hey friends, and welcome to another episode. Craigie, why don't you tell us about the business that we're going to scale today?
Yeah, so this is going to be really exciting. This is really cool. We're going to help our friend Drew Keuilian, double, triple his revenues with Organifi. Now, everybody knows about Organifi. You've seen the ads all over the place. You probably have the Organifi greens powder in your cupboard. I do. You do.
I definitely do. In fact, it was the video that Drew had on Facebook that sold me on the program and package.
Yeah. And Bedros is going to go into some video marketing tips as we go through this, but why don't we start with Facebook? You are the master of Facebook. You just know how to dial in the ads. You've done live streams. You know the video on it. So what are a couple things that Drew and his team in Organifi can do to get more eyeballs, first of all, to his videos, but also to his sales pages and just drive that revenue up at Organifi and help more people?
Yeah, so obviously the goal of this podcast is to give the business owner at least 10 ideas that they can scale and multiply their business with. And so where Facebook is concerned, man, I think one of the things that Drew nailed it is he did an actual dramatic demonstration right there. And the video that got me was he had this shopping bag, looks like maybe it was a Whole Foods shopping bag or something, and he was taking out one ingredient after another and, hey, here's whatever, beetroots, and if you have so much of this, it'll cleanse your body this way. And by the time he was done, he took out 15, 16 different vegetables, herbs, and spices.
Did he take out chocolate-covered almonds?
He did not take out chocolate-covered almonds. If he did, I was going to buy one for you.
Right.
Yeah. But by the time he emptied this bag, man, he goes, this is the stuff that you would want to eat first thing in the morning on an empty stomach to really get the most nutritional value. And I'm hooked. And he's got me because I go, there's no way I could do that. He goes, now most of you can't do that, and I can't either, and this is why I use the Organifi green juice. And the part that hooked me really was where he put a scoop in the water, and he says there's no stirring required. And as he's talking, and this reminded me of the Ginsu knife salesman, the dramatic demonstration of proof is so valuable in what we do. So one, he proved that these are the things you need, and these are the benefits they provide. Now, we all know that there's no way you could eat all that first thing in the morning, so he gave us the solution, and then he showed how easy the solution is. One scoop, he just stirred, and he says no utensil required, and he just drank it, delicious, good to go. And this is where Drew really nailed it with the video. So I think what he needs to do next is take that to live videos. And where we can only mail out maybe once or twice a day where email is concerned, where you're talking about Instagram and Facebook, you could really consider each of those platforms a separate list, right? And you could send out 5, 6, 7 live videos throughout the day, both on Instagram and on Facebook. And by doing so, you're doing a live demonstration, no different than if you're a home and garden show when someone's doing a cooking demonstration. So I think Drew's next scalability opportunity is going to be live videos several times a day on those two platforms, Facebook and Instagram.
Fantastic. And one thing that, when you were going through the video that hooked you was something that our speaker coach, Joel Weldon, taught me, was dealing with anticipatory statements. So as he's going through there, Drew is anticipating what the viewer is seeing, and he knows the viewer is thinking, yeah, but Drew, I can't eat all of that in first thing in the morning. And so Drew addressed that with the anticipatory statement. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're watching this. You're thinking, how am I going to eat all this? Well, you don't have to. And so that's what he does. And I know that you've done this a million times in your videos when you're on stage. Is there anything that you want to add to that, and what the transition is then into, closing them into the sale?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And so what I really like to do is I call that entering the conversation as it's happening, right? There's a conversation happening in someone's head, which is what Joel Weldon talks about, the anticipatory statement there. And they are literally saying in their heads, I can't do that. I want to do that. I want those benefits, but I can't do that. And he gallops in as the man on the white horse with this solution. Now, having the solution is not enough. At the end of every live video, it obviously makes sense to give a call to action then. So if you'd like to try this particular product for 30 days at no risk to you, just click the link somewhere in the comment section or above this video, and you can easily go and order a no-risk bottle and try it for the next 30 days. But that call to action that most people forget is so important. And what's really neat about giving people a live kind of fly-on-the-wall view into your kitchen, and people want to see what's going on in someone's kitchen. It is the heart of the house. You look at a cocktail party, most people gather around that kitchen island and they hang out, even though you've got a massive backyard and living room, etc. And so organically, we are in Drew's kitchen, and at this point, he can bring in other experts. He can bring in people who have used the product and have experienced some massive benefit. He can bring in people who have used it to use it as an ingredient in other baking or cooking. But I mean, the opportunities are endless, but every single video needs to lead to a call to action that is completely risk-free. Try it for 30 days in your home. If you don't see the difference, like so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, send it back and we'll refund every penny, including shipping. And I believe that that is going to be a game changer for him.
Awesome, awesome. And just to let you know, I was organically in the Organifi kitchen last week when I was in San Diego, and we filmed a video. So he does this thing called Motivation Mondays, and we filmed a video of us trying one of their new protein powders. So he did a lot of the stuff that you recommended there. And so as we teach all of these things, I mean, it's one thing that we're doing this for Drew and you're getting a ton of great information, but I'll tell you what, if you go out and you just watch what the people that are, that we're focusing on are doing, you'll also learn a ton of stuff. So one of the things that I learned from a friend of mine who built a supplement company was when he wanted to grow his team, was the best way to go and find the right people for his team was to go on LinkedIn, find those people in those positions, and then start the conversation with them. So it's almost like poaching really, really great employees. And so I know that Drew's business is growing rapidly, and I think that's a really, really fantastic thing that he needs to do. He's going to need to get some high-level operations folks in there who have dealt with doubling supplement company revenue. So that's another tip for all of us. When we want to go and find somebody, we're going to go on LinkedIn, we're going to find companies that exist that are like ours, and we're going to find the people in those businesses that we'd love to have working for us, and then we're going to start the conversation. Just cool, calm, California cool like Bedros is, as I always say, and just get that conversation going, and maybe even get referrals from those people like, hey, I'm not going to come and work for you, but I know somebody else that is going to be interested in it. Yeah. Now, another thing that when you're going to do when you have your C-level team, and I think this is something that Drew and I have talked about, is getting them into one of the Perfect Life workshops that I do so that we get their C-level teams structured with their systems so that they really dominate their days. And so that is what I've done with Perfect Day Formula, and it's the information in there that helps your employees make sure that you get a copy of the book for all of your employees so that you're all talking the same language. Seth Godin was talking about this today in one of his blog posts. When you buy a book, he doesn't actually sell his book in onesies. He only sells his book in twosies and bulk orders. Seth Godin does, because he says if you're buying this for a group, you absolutely have to get everybody else in, or if you're buying this as a leader of a company, you have to get everybody else in your company reading it, understanding it, whatever book it is, whether it's Seth's marketing or my Perfect Day Formula, so that everybody's on the same page.
Let me add something to that real quick, because congruency in communication is so critical, especially when you're talking about the A-level, B-level teams and the C-level teams who are going to be out there implementing. In fact, Harvard just recently, earlier last year, came out with a study, once again proving that bad communication, poor communication is the #1 factor that neuters the growth of a business. And so when you figure, getting everybody on the same page, most people just talk about getting the leadership team on the same page. But the reality is that your C-level team, if they are not on the same page, speaking the same language, working towards the same mission, purpose, meaning, then you are going to have some level of friction. And imagine a swimmer in the water, if they have friction against their body, they're simply not going to win the race. And this is exactly what that's like. And I know you're laughing right now.
I love it when you use sports analogies.
Yeah, because I don't watch any sports ever.
Touchdown.
Yeah. Hey, can I mention one more thing, by the way, going to point number 2 that you made?
Yeah.
We talk about time collapsing, and what Craig was really alluding to here is when you go to LinkedIn and you find the people who are already great at a specific role in a competing organization, and you invite them into your world, you are time collapsing. See, a company like Drew's business, who's doing multiple 7 figures already, is not in a position to hire someone at a low level and then train them up. That's almost like having a squadron of fighter jets bring a crop duster in. That's not going to work. You have to bring another fighter jet in. So the only way you can time collapse is through people and money. An injection of money allows you to market, right? Multiply your marketing, and bring in the right people who are already dialed in, allow you to time collapse by way of the learning curve is already gone. They're just going to go and implement right away. So what else do you have on your list?
Awesome. And I love that he brought up Time Collapsing, which is a book by Ed O'Keefe, another good friend of ours.
Yes.
And Drew had a copy of Time Collapsing for every member of his team. He had a copy of the Perfect Day Formula for every member of his team, including the customer service people, in the awesome office that Drew has down there in San Diego. Now, a couple of other things we can help Drew with here is podcasts. So you've been on the Lewis Howes podcast. Drew is friends with Lewis Howes. He knows him already. But there's another podcast on there where Lewis interviews Josh Bizzoni, who's the supplement company owner. And this is where Josh talks about the mindset shift to go to a $100 million company. So I'm sure you've listened to those, and I know that you've been on it. So what can he learn from listening to your podcast with Lewis?
You know, the podcast that I did on Lewis Howes' show specifically is where I talk about speed of implementation. The whole podcast is about masterminding and, of course, group collaboration. But where I talk about speed of implementation is what's going to benefit Drew here the most, because as we were able to grow our Fit Body Bootcamp franchise at a breakneck speed, it's simply because we come up with an idea and implement it, take it to market quicker than anybody else in our industry. And you know, we have this running joke in our headquarters, which is we're always creating faster than we can be copied. So we don't mind people copying us. It truly is a compliment because we're out implementing everybody. And so obviously a growing company like Drew's organization here has to take speed of implementation to a whole new level. I would call it extreme speed of implementation is where we're at and where he needs to go as well.
Awesome. And I love that you mentioned the mastermind stuff there, because the next tip that I have for Drew is something that I'm going to kind of steal from one of my best friends who brings in his top affiliates in for vacations and little mini mastermind meetings. And this is what I recommend for Drew to do for the affiliate team who promotes and supports Organifi. Bring him in, share your best ideas, share your best video tips, share your best Facebook ads, share your best email marketing tips among the affiliates so that they all leave there better and go home, make more money for themselves, but also drive more customers to Organifi, and Drew can go out and help so many more people that he wants to help. Now, speaking of email marketing, there's 2 things that most people are neglecting in email marketing these days, and it's testing and monitoring unlike ever before. So first of all, you always want to be testing your subject lines. You really want to be split testing multiple subject lines to see what, first of all, gets an open rate, but second of all, email deliverability, where those things are getting caught in spam traps. And so that is something that a company like Drew's, who has a large email list, really needs to focus on email deliverability because it's getting harder and harder than ever before. So he needs to be making sure he has the right provider for his emails, but also making sure that he's testing to see, okay, this one goes into spam and Yahoo, but it makes it into the inbox and Hotmail, and it makes it in here and here, but not here. And then figure out, okay, what's the best email to roll out to the entire list. So I learned that from a really great email marketer friend of mine. What tips do you have, because you are killer at email as well?
You know, to that point, actually, anyone who is great at email marketing, and this is something I kind of got from JJ Virgin, who's currently doing her big launch, right? With actually the documentary that we were both in, You Are Stronger Than You Think, is a documentary. But anyone who's got a great email list that's responsive obviously has that list somewhere on social media. So again, we have to remember, where else is this list, and where else can we have a near 100% open rate? Think about it. Open rates are lower. Everybody's complaining about open rates, click-throughs, and the fact that emails are ending up in spam boxes. Well, I've got an idea, and I got the idea from JJ Virgin. Why don't we take everyone who's got a great email responsive list and say, hey, let's do a live cast on your fan page. And we did a live cast on my fan page using my affiliate link for her program. And the open rate is like 90-some-odd% because Facebook is out there notifying everybody. So going back to Drew, if I were Drew, what would I do to force multiply the impact that my affiliates and their email lists have on my business? I would coordinate some kind of again, his business lends to perfectly to live demonstrations. And so I would have those affiliates come over, or I would fly out to their kitchens, and we would do a live cast on their channels, on their networks, and again, reach and penetrate their market like never before.
Now, any other video tips you have, because you are the best on video, Facebook Lives, YouTube videos, any other video tips that you can think of that can help Drew get in front of more people? Maybe other dramatic demonstrations? Is it more, customer success stories?
I'm almost beginning to wonder if Drew could do something like this, where he went through it to an actual home and garden show. And part of because I was thinking really big here, what would we do if we went to a franchise expo show? And this is what we're actually doing. We don't just set up a booth at a franchise expo show, because then we're like everybody else. We're setting up a full-on fit body boot camp with the workout, with the coaches, with the music, everything.
Beautiful.
So that people can experience the franchise. It's far different than just having an idea or seeing it even on a TV screen, right, at a booth. And so if I were Drew, I would go to a home and garden show, and I would say, listen, I'm going to buy a 10 by 10 booth or a 20 by 20 booth. However, I want a deal where I can broadcast live onto your fan page from the event and do, again, demonstrations, right? Now you're using, effectively, you're using the home and garden show as a platform to mail out from. They're probably going to want you to just pay a flat fee versus giving you an affiliate commission, so he's going to come out ahead using that strategy as well. And think about how many different bridal shows there are. And Drew doesn't even have to go to them, by the way. Talk about scaling your business. You just send representatives. So on any given weekend, there could be 5 or 6 Organifi booths at events that target his exact market, and part of the agreement is that if I'm buying a booth, I get to broadcast 3 times over the weekend onto your fan page, and that's going to be huge for him.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love how you brought up that he doesn't have to go and do it, because I'll tell you what, and Drew, this is a huge compliment to you and your team, your office is the office of smiles. Everybody in there was smiling from ear to ear, and it wasn't just because I was visiting. Now, because usually everybody's, kind of smiling when I show up, but I mean, no, these guys were like biggest smiles. So, I mean, his team has so many capable lieutenants that can go out there and do this for that as well. But you bring up, which might have been the biggest tip of this entire show today, is showing up differently. You show up differently by the way he described it, with what you're doing with the boot camps, the tip you gave to Drew. And it's the same as with my little Perfect Day Formula kit. I'm not just showing up with a book when I go to mastermind meetings. No, I got this nice bright orange box, all these cool little things, and it's like Christmas Day for somebody when they get the kit. I've been able to show up differently, and it's really allowed me to have a greater impact and influence on people.
It's a massive point of differentiation, man, because there's so much noise out there right now. Everyone's got a book to sell. Everyone's got a green juice. Everyone's got a franchise. If we don't show up differently, we don't show up, period.
Absolutely. And so that brings me to the next one, which is talking about copywriters, because that's what copywriters do. Great copywriters allow you to show up differently. They sell the message better. So we can probably give them a couple referrals, but is there anything that you want to mention on copywriting in addition to showing up differently as we give Drew some connections?
Well, I got to tell you, where copywriting is concerned, I'm a big fan of a video with bullet points and then the offer and opportunity.
Right.
That's what works in my space. I don't know what's going to work in Drew's space with the green juice.
Well, the dramatic demonstration.
Dramatic demonstration is huge, but the one copywriter that I would recommend that Drew connect with is Justin Goff. I mean, the guy is amazing right now at what he's doing with his written copy, and of course he's happens to be a client of mine at the moment, and so.
And he's been in that space.
He's been in that space, and he can probably take this product into a whole new level if you guys can collaborate well together. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So there's that one. I know a couple of mid-level and low-level copywriters. It's all about connections, and Bedros and I just know a ton of people, and so if somebody needs a copywriter that just kind of does the paint by number, fill in the blank stuff. To do email marketing, by all means, we got people for that. And then we have people that are, going to be able to help with, the video sales style that Bedros mentioned, which Brennan Burchard is just doing a fantastic job as well. Yeah. Talking head and then content underneath it. So there's all types of copywriters out there, and we can match people up with that. So we're almost done here. I would say that there's one more thing I wanted to mention, and this one I'm actually going to have to maybe get a little help digitally by showing a screenshot, but there's a site called knowfoods.com that my friend Ed O'Keefe turned me on to. So it's KNOW foods.com, and they make gluten-free, dairy-free pancakes and muffins and all this stuff, and they have a really, really great upsell. So as you go to order, there's a button underneath the regular order button that says, hey, do you want to go to a monthly
subscription?
Right, exactly, at a lower rate. So I don't know if Drew already has that in place and what he's doing to get people on the monthly subscriptions, but I thought it was fantastic just to have that other alternative underneath so that anytime, you always want to give people a couple options to buy in most cases. Sure. Anyways. So that is an additional thing that people can do. Check it out at nofoods.com. You're the master of selling, and offering people A and B. You have people do that in the Fit Body boot camps that I own and that, the franchise that you're running. So is there anything else you want to mention in that opportunity there?
There might be one more opportunity where that's concerned, actually. If we remember what my wife Diana is doing right now with her Recipe Hacker Confidential book, she's got a 53% take rate on her upsell, which is a continuity-based program. So she's got three usual basic upsell programs, but she's got a 53% take rate on her continuity program that's $14.95 a month right now. And that is a order bump, by the way. And so that order bump is already pre-checked and pre-filled. But Drew, I almost wonder if you can create some kind of either a very thin physical book or even a digital book that's got recipes in it that obviously use your ingredients, use your juice powder. And of course, anyone who buys that for the price of I don't know if you're going to have continuity of any sort, you might want to consider doing where they buy the book for $14.95 and they get the 30-day trial of the continuity program, which is what we have. They have to uncheck it in order to not get it. And of course, it's a 30-day continuity free trial. If they stay on board, and 53% do choose that option, they're billed $49 a month for the kind of the What's for Dinner Club. But I wonder if there's some kind of idea there that Drew can grab onto to create some back-end continuity, because that really is that's been the pillar of my success as we've built software that has continuity, coaching programs like you and I have that have continuity. Our franchise has continuity and royalty fees, and that really is the golden goose. Absolutely, absolutely. Recurring revenue more important than ever before in this day and age. So B, man, that was a lot of great advice that we gave. I got some ideas for my own businesses and stuff. Is there anything else you want to mention as we wrap it up here and give Drew a ton of value? Yeah. So the only thing I would mention, and this isn't necessarily for Drew, but maybe anybody else watching, but it might very well fit for Drew as well, is that Craig and I are just fanatical about helping people take their businesses and time collapse them so that you can scale them into an empire. And we talk about that it's all about scale and structure. Those are the two things you need, because hustle and grind will take you to 500,000 to $1 million. And you know what it'll take you to? It'll take you to the emergency room, which is where it took me back in 2006 with anxiety attacks. Almost took you there. And when we learned not to hustle and grind, despite what all the people are saying these days about hustling and grinding, you don't want to be grinding because you only get ground down. So it's about scale and structure. Listen, Warren Buffett is not hustle and grinding. No. Do you agree? No. And Warren Buffett has an empire. And our goal, everyone's goal watching this, should be to build an empire. And hustle and grind can easily be switched out for fight or flight. And nobody wants to operate in a state of fight or flight, right? So you don't want to operate in a state of hustle and grind. That is a process you use to get your plane up in the air to that $500,000 to $1 million mark, but you use structure and scale to get it to the 8-figure, 9-figure place. And where we can help you with that is through our Empire Mastermind group. And somewhere around this video, you can find a link to fill out an application and see if that Empire Mastermind is right for you. So, is there anything else we need to add to this before we wrap it up, buddy? Just looking forward to seeing Drew again and seeing what his business does this year, because it is really helping people, and that's what we want to do too. Awesome. Well, Drew, congratulations on a super business that you've created, and thank you so much for an amazing product. I'm actually a customer and a user and love the product, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks for listening to the Empire Podcast Show. Remember to subscribe on iTunes, share it with your friends, and give us a rating. We'd really appreciate that. And make sure to go to EmpirePodcastShow.com to watch the videos as they come out.